I'm Ksenia, and thank you so much for joining me for today's or this week's Astro Weather Report. It is a joy to be with you. I first of all need to start by letting everybody know that I haven't been very well. I'm currently being tested for glandular fever, so my intent with this video today is that I provide you the information about the upcoming eclipse, how you will experience it, how you might feel, what are some themes of this eclipse. But I'm actually not intending to go through each sign in this video simply because of the time that it takes to do so and my current state of health. So I do apologize to those of you who look forward to the sign breakdown each week. Instead, we're just looking at what's going on astrologically. So hopefully you might learn something about astrology here, maybe even a little bit of astronomy if you're lucky. And hopefully this reading is a blessing to you. This week's weather report is a blessing to you, despite there being no sign breakdown. And I apologize for that. Now, in my last week's video, I shared that I was unwell, and thank you, big, heartfelt, loving thank yous to everyone who's been sending me love, praying for me, sending me kind messages. I feel so held, I feel so supported, and I am just so immeasurably grateful for the beautiful community that I have here on my channel. There were a few people in last week's video who left comments who are quite confused about what I'm doing business-wise at the moment, so I just want to clarify things. I will still be producing videos for as long as I'm able to, as long as my health holds up. I intend to keep producing videos for YouTube because it brings me a lot of joy to share this beautiful knowledge of the astral world with you. And I know that it uplifts a lot of people. So it is my intent to keep going with my videos, my YouTube videos. I also intend to finish the wait list for readings that I have. This wait list is about 200 readings long. So ordinarily I do about 4 readings a day, most days of the week, and hence why I'm now run down and worn out. That's just too much. But because of my current condition, I've had to pare that back. So I am working through my wait list. If you are on the wait list, please know I will get to you. I'm going to be sending out an email this afternoon just to let everyone who is on the wait list know what's going on. But I will be working through at about maybe 1 or 2 readings a day at this point to try and get through the backlog. Where things have changed is that I am not taking any more readings for the time being. So if you wanted a personalized reading with me, you'll have to, well, you don't have to do anything, but you might like to join my subscriber list. And you can do that by going to my website, www.guidingstarAstrology.com. And subscribing to my email list, and that way you'll be notified when my bookings reopen and you can place a booking then. But for now, I'm not taking on any more readings until I've caught up with my workload and my backlog. So I hope that makes things clear and that people are not confused by what's going on. And finally, before we jump into the weather for this week, I want to welcome anyone who's new to astrology. I delight in sharing astral knowledge, and it's my intent and my desire to share knowledge with all levels of understanding. And there's plenty of new people in this amazing year of 2020 waking up, becoming aware that there is more to life than just the machine-like mechanism of exterior existence on Earth. And so the more people that wake up, the more people are discovering astrology, the more people are discovering ancient knowledge. And as such, I want to welcome in new people here who are new to astrology, and I hope that what I share, I can share for all levels, and so that you can gain some understanding of this wonderful world of astrology. So welcome to all the people who are new to astrology and new to my channel. It is lovely to have you here as part of my astral community. One of the exciting things that has occurred in the last week is that Venus became visible. If you watched my video from last week, so exciting. She became visible exactly when she was expected to. There was no hindrance, there was no waiting for a couple of days. She was there bang on time. I want to share a photo that I was able to get out and take of Venus in the sunrise with you now. Isn't she lovely? What a glorious sunrise and what a glorious event. She was visible, and this means that when we expected her to be, and so this means that the themes of Venus are going to remain present and powerful on Earth. Themes of love, themes of kindness, themes of forgiveness, themes of material values. So we're not all going to plummet into the Great Depression, according to this assessment tool of astrology. It doesn't mean that we won't have upheavals, that can certainly occur, but we're not going to have the horrific disasters that we have seen at other times when Venus has not become visible when she was expected to be. So that's something to celebrate, and thank you to everyone who joined praying with me over the duration of Venus's invisibility to make sure her energy and her love, the feminine, the beauty, the practical, tactile side of life, the touch, taste, sight, sound and smell elements of our life on Earth were upheld and maintained. The art, the beauty, the culture. And so we've seen Venus become visible. Thank you for joining me to raise the vibration so that could happen. Now, Mercury is the first little piece of action that we're seeing this week. On the 18th of June, Mercury is going retrograde, joining all those other retrograde planets. We have so many retrograde planets at the moment. Now, unless you're particularly new to astrology, and once again, I welcome those who are, unless you're particularly new to astrology, most of us know what Mercury retrograde entails. Mercury goes retrograde about 3 times a year, and when he does, it lasts for about 3 weeks. Now, this is the time when we notice our computers malfunctioning, or we have little car accidents, and things go a bit haywire with our technology, our transport, our communication mechanisms. So once again, we're entering into a 3-week period where we can expect that sort of thing to happen. It's not a good time during Mercury retrograde, and Mercury will be retrograde until the 12th of July. It's not a good time from the 18th of June to the 12th of July to take your computer in to be fixed, or buy a new computer, or do anything that involves technology, like getting new technology or fixing old technologies. It's just not a good time for that. If you do take a laptop or an iPad in to be fixed or something, or looked at, you'll probably have to go back again after July and get it attended to again. So if you can get by without doing that, do so. It's also not a good time for undertaking any contractual agreements, because Mercury rules contracts, and Mercury has a bit of a reputation during retrograde period for us slipping up and not reading the fine print, not understanding the nitty-gritty detail of a particular contract that then comes back to haunt us. So if you must sign a contract during Mercury retrograde period, get a second set of eyes to look over and make sure you're not missing anything or slipping up on anything or not aware of anything. So do take that approach if you can't avoid signing a contract. But it's not all doom and gloom with Mercury retrograde period. There is a purpose to everything, and the higher manifestation or the higher energy of Mercury retrograde season is actually to cause us to rethink things and revisit things. It's a time of second chances, actually, for making sure we haven't missed an opportunity. So we do this through taking time to research, for example, our big next life step we want to make. It's not a time for making a big next life step, it's a time for researching it. So if you're wanting to launch a Patreon page, or you're wanting to launch a Teachable account, or one of those other big platforms, it's not actually a time for launching those things, but it's a time for researching those things. If I set up a Teachable account, how would I configure it? What courses would I offer on there? If I decide that I'm going to offer my graphic design services online from now on, how am I going to go about doing that? What are my platforms going to be? It is a time for researching your communicative techniques and skills, research, which are ruled by Mercury, researching also things like any business proposals you want to have, any marketing opportunities, any advertising opportunities. Time for revisiting and researching some new project, or maybe you want to start your own small business. It's not the time for launching, it's the time for researching. So use this 3 weeks in that sense, and you will be channeling this energy at its most beautiful level. To be thorough, to go through things, to sort of take the time to be across what you need to be across. Mercury retrograde is also a time for cleaning up. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, which is all about cleanliness. So re-energize your life by, reconstructing your living spaces or your working spaces, spring clean. It's not spring, we're moving into summer in the Northern Hemisphere and winter in the Southern Hemisphere. But doesn't stop us having a bit of a spring clean at this time during Mercury retrograde. It's a really good time to do so. Declutter, organize, restructure, clean, get things working efficiently and functionally well in your environment, and you'll be also channeling the better energies of Mercury retrograde. This is also a good period to address any conflicts you've been experiencing in life, and that's with anyone. But Mercury has connections to relatives and networks, so friendship networks as well. So if there's any conflicts in those areas, check those out. Look for ways you can resolve anything, especially now Venus is visible, and she's still moving retrograde, but not for too much longer. So Venus is the energy of love, and forgiveness. So look for ways, while Mercury is going retrograde, to readdress any conflicts that need to be healed with love right now. And in fact, it's a really good time to reconnect with any relatives, any friends, and people from the past who you haven't seen for a while. So if you get the opportunity to do that, I'd encourage you to dive in and connect with colleagues, with workmates, with relatives that need to be, that can uplift you, that can support you at this time, and who you can offer some upliftment and support to as well. So that's Mercury retrograde, as I said, going from the 18th of June until the 12th of July. Now the next biggie, and the one that I'm really keen to talk about, is the eclipse. This is going to be the most powerful eclipse this year for a number of reasons. The first is that this eclipse is occurring right at a couple of hours after solstice. Now that will be summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere and winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere. So that, for a start, we're having a solstice eclipse. That is a powerful thing right from the get-go. Now, in a solstice period, regardless of whether there's an eclipse or not, when solstice occurs, it's been observed that the magnetic and astral conditions kind of shift and change a little bit. And the ancients considered, whether they were aware of those magnetosphere shifts or the astral conditions that shifted momentarily during solstice, it was considered by the ancients a very powerful day for ceremony and a powerful day for solidifying our inner condition as a community and also as individuals with rituals and with the setting of intentions. So it's a great day as an individual, regardless of the eclipse, for you as an individual or as a group of friends or as a collective or as a community to set some intentions. And if you're into doing ritual, to do ritual. With rituals, my understanding of rituals is not that in doing a ritual you change anything in your external circumstances. What a ritual does is it's a outer solidification of an inner state of being within you. So you might do a ritual of burning old intents, and you might do that. This is a particular ritual that I use sometimes. Get a bunch of toothpicks, and for every attitude or in you that you're not happy with, that you want to release and let go of, you sit with a candle, and for every single one you put the toothpick into the candle and put it on a plate till it burns to nothing, symbolizing an internal shift within you that I don't want that attitude anymore, I don't want that belief in me anymore. Very simple little ritual. So you might like to look up some rituals online, look up some candle ceremonies, whatever is floats your boat, and do ritual on this day of the solstice and the eclipse to purge, to release, to heal, and to offer essentially an outer solidification of an inner change of being within you. This is a good day for doing this because it's a very powerful day of the year when we can get high-level information from the divine and we can receive guidance from the divine at this time. So it's really powerful to connect with the divine at this time. Now we can do that through rituals. We can do that through setting intentions, just simply praying, asking for spirit to guide you, and then writing down what comes into your mind. This is my intention for the next 6 months. This is what I desire to achieve until the next solstice occurs. So it's time to connect with the divine, time to connect with your higher self, to set intentions, to do ritual, to do ceremony, if that's your thing. Now I might pull in my board just to show you what this eclipse is going to look like from an astrological perspective. Just a minute. So as you can see, here is the sun and the moon. They're falling at 1 degree of Cancer, and they're 0 degrees, I should say, of Cancer on the 21st of June, which is when the eclipse, this very powerful solstice eclipse, will be occurring. Here's the sun and the sun and the moon, and they're right with the North Node. The North Node is at 29 degrees. The sun and the moon are making a new moon. That's what we call a solar eclipse. That is occurring at 0 degrees of Cancer. So they're pretty much bang on. You couldn't get, by 1 degree, you'd get a closer eclipse. So it's very powerful, not only because it's a solstice eclipse, but because the connection with the nodes is so tight. So very, very tight. And that is what is causing this eclipse to be a very powerful one, and the most powerful one of this year, because it's on a solstice and because it is also so tightly conjunct with the nodes. What does a solar eclipse bring us? Well, it triggers events for up to 6 months ahead until the next solar eclipse that occurs. So we're going to be in the zone of this eclipse for the next 6 months. Now the lunar eclipse that occurred 2 weeks ago, it's active pretty much straight away, and we noticed around the time of that eclipse that the themes of that eclipse were playing out all over the world, with demonstrations, with activism. Those sorts of things were the theme of the previous lunar eclipse. That's going to be felt on the Earth until the next lunar eclipse, which happens to be 2 weeks from now. Ordinarily, in a normal year, we would have to wait 6 months for that particular lunar eclipse to reach its fruition stage and be sort of overlapped by the next lunar eclipse. But in this case, we've got a very unusual year with 6 eclipses in the 1 year instead of the usual 4. And so this lunar eclipse that occurred 2 weeks ago is only going to be active for another 2 weeks until the next lunar eclipse. However, this solar eclipse, this new moon in Cancer eclipse, will be active until the next new moon or solar eclipse that occurs. And so that's in another 6 months' time. So we're going to be having 6 months of potential fallout from this eclipse. Usually with solar eclipses, events occur that come as a shock, that come out of the blue, that come as a surprise. Usually solar eclipses are related to leaders of countries as well. So this is going to be an interesting one. Cancer countries are places like the United States, and we know that there's a lot happening in the United States at the moment. So the United States stands to be quite impacted by this eclipse, particularly the leaders of the country. Now, might be some governors, might be some state leaders, might be all the way to the top. We don't know, but leaders of countries that are connected with the sign of Cancer stand to be affected. Now, that can be positively or negatively. Eclipses are that difficult to predict. But we will see influences playing out on leaders of countries who are ruled by the sign of Cancer. Now, no doubt, people want to know what countries are ruled by the sign of Cancer. So we have the USA, Paraguay, New Zealand, Scotland, Holland, the Bahamas, Bahrain, Colombia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Croatia, Djibouti, Laos, Liberia, Madagascar, Mozambique, Malawi, Rwanda, Slovenia, the Solomon Islands, and Somalia. They're just a few. It would take me all day to go through all of them for you, but hopefully that helps clarify where we're looking at the countries and the leaders that may, I underline the word may, be affected. We would really need to look at each leader's individual chart to see just how it might affect them. But solar eclipses bring news out of the blue, the unexpected sort of, wow, didn't see that one coming, that was a right punch, something that comes unexpectedly, and news that's, wow, goodness me. Solar eclipses bring to both our individual lives as well as the collective and as well as to leaders of various countries very exciting events, and usually are heralding new beginnings. As with any new moon, a new moon indicates a new start, a new beginning in some way in our lives, and an eclipse that is a new moon, in other words a solar eclipse, represents a new beginning on steroids, so a big new beginning in some way. Now, depending where this eclipse is falling for you will depend what field of your life you might be experiencing a new beginning. Now, as I said, I'm not going to go through each sign simply for my health and my ability to stay here and endure. But we might be looking, say, an eclipse in the 10th house. It might indicate that it's to do with career. An eclipse in the 5th house might indicate that it's to do with a new beginning in love. An eclipse in the 9th house, a new beginning in study or higher education. So that's how we would work with these energies and where they fall in the chart. So if you know a bit of astrology, do check out where the eclipse falls. You'll get a bit of an idea where you might be getting a new start and a new beginning. Basically, an eclipse represents the universe wanting us to move more into our purpose and our destiny, as is the case with the nodes. That's what they represent. They represent the chance to move, to leave something behind and to move into our destiny and our future. The universe wants us to progress in life. It wants us to move forward in life. And it's the events of the eclipse, whether they feel good to us in the moment or not, it's the events that occur because of eclipses that help shove us in the right direction. So whatever happens, trust in the universe, trust in the higher good that is wanting to unfold in your life. Now, a little bit more about eclipses. This one is going to be making a square to Mars. Here's Mars down here, making kind of a square, but it's about 5 degrees away. The eclipse is at 0 degrees of Cancer. Mars will be sitting at around 25 degrees of Pisces. So a square is when we've got 90 degrees between planets. And we're kind of getting there, but it's not bang on like the last eclipse that we had 2 weeks ago was. So the influence of Mars is not going to be quite as pronounced at this time. And look, there's a minor aspect, a quincunx to Saturn. It's exact. Saturn is, here we are at 0 degrees of Aquarius, making a quincunx aspect to the exact degree. But a quincunx is a minor aspect. We don't feel it the way we feel an opposition or a square or even a trine for that matter. So it's we do feel it, and there's a lot of astrologers who work with quincunx aspects. I'm not one of them. I feel that there's plenty of information to go on before you hit the quincunx aspects. But there is this quincunx aspect playing out. There can be, because of that quincunx to Saturn, some difficulty balancing duties. Saturn represents our duties and responsibilities. Balancing that with our personal needs right now. Cancer is a very personal sign. So some difficulties with that. Watch out for overwork causing illness would be one of the things you'd want to look out for with a quincunx from Saturn to this solar eclipse. Hello, I think I'm already there. So watch out for overwork leading to illness right now. Some other things to note about this eclipse is that it's a very tight one, as I mentioned. And when we have a tight eclipse, it means that we're going to be getting a fairly hefty obscuration of in this case, the sun. The moon is going to sort of fit right across the sun. Because this is what we call an annular eclipse, the moon is at such a distance from the earth, and the moon varies in its distance to and from like the earth over the course of the year. Because of the distance that the moon is currently at from the earth, it's not going to fit exactly across the sun. And this is an annular eclipse is when we get this fit that gives us a ring of fire, if you like, around the eclipse. I'll show you a photo of what that looks like. So basically this is a ring of fire eclipse. An annular eclipse, the word annular means ring. So it's an eclipse where it's almost perfectly bang on the right size, that like they cover each other, boom, to the exact degree. But because the moon is at such a distance at the moment from the earth, we're going to get this ring effect around the outside. So that's what an annular eclipse is, rather than say a total eclipse of the sun, the old Bonnie Tyler song. Rather than total eclipse of the sun, which is when the moon is at the correct distance to completely obscure the sun. That's the difference between an annular and a total eclipse. In this case, we're having an annular eclipse, and there'll be a ring of fire. This eclipse will also be visible from Africa and some parts of Pakistan, some parts of India and China. So if you're in one of those countries, you may very well be able to see the eclipse, but as the ancients warned, it's not a good idea. If you want to have health and well-being into the future, don't go and observe the eclipse in reality, watch it on your computer instead. For those who are interested in the fixed stars, this eclipse is conjunct a fixed star, Menkalimon. Menkalimon is here at 29 degrees of Gemini, which is where the north node of the moon is currently sitting. It's known as the Menkalimon is known where it sits at the head of the Charioteer in the constellations in the sky, and it has been observed to be of a Jupiter character, expansive and about growth. But it's very rare that we see Menkalimon as a beneficial star. It needs to be very well aspected to have a beneficial play, if you like, or beneficial effect in your life if you've got Menkalimon activated in your natal chart, or in this case in the eclipse. Now it might have a Jupiter character when it is well aspected. I think it was Harry Opperman, a diamond mining magnate or something, had it conjunct his north node, very well positioned, quite auspicious, bringing prosperity and abundance into his life. When we have difficult aspects, then Menkalimon, which is known as a leadership star as well, is less likely to bring benefit and is a bit lackluster, or in worst case scenario can bring sort of negative leadership. We know what negative leadership looks like, sort of authoritarian, totalitarian kind of approach. So let's take a look. What are the aspects like to Menkalimon? Well, as I said, you've got a quincunx from Saturn, and we have a square aspect coming from Mars to Menkalimon. So it's probably more likely, although Neptune is there as well giving a square too, it's more likely that this is going to be of a negative effect with Menkalimon than its Jupiterian character of expansion and prosperity. So keep that in mind, that there still may be some conflicts, there still may be some difficulties that come as a result of this strong eclipse because of its conjunction with Menkalimon. As I said, Menkalimon is a leadership star, and that can give leaders power, authority, wealth sometimes as well. So keep in mind, we've got a combination here of a solar eclipse, which affects leaders, conjunct with Menkaliman, a leadership star. So we're seeing two indicators of perhaps some trouble for leaders, for people in positions of leadership. If you're so inclined, it might be a good idea to pray for our leaders to have changes of heart where necessary, to make the necessary changes in life that, or not in life, but in their policies and their leadership style that are required to be in the best interest of the country rather than the best interest of the party or the best interest of themselves. But I'm not going to get into politics here because I'm an astrologer, not a politician, thank God. So I just encourage everybody, maybe if you're inclined, to pray for your people in positions of leadership right now. May they wake up. So I want to just wind things up now with a look at what it means to have a new moon in Cancer, because of course, yes, this eclipse is occurring. Yes, we can expect changes that come out of the blue. We can expect that our leaders are going to be affected. We can expect that there might be some new and exciting events and brand new beginnings that unfold in our life based on where this new moon eclipse at solstice time is occurring. But eclipses aside, it is a new moon in Cancer. And what does this mean? Well, Cancer represents our private lives, our personal lives, our personal space, our domestic space even as well. So we can experience new starts at this time in our domestic sphere and in our personal private lives. Yes, leadership, that's a thing, that's going to happen. But for us personally, it's going to affect our private lives. In alignment with what's going on with Mercury retrograde, the new moon in Cancer can actually indicate an opportunity to reconnect with family, because families are ruled by Cancer. So that might happen. We might get the opportunity to do that. I know I certainly am hoping to do so. There might be also, under a Cancer new moon, a need for greater self-care and nurturance. And if there is that in your life, honor it. Because we are, as I have discovered, we are not machines. We are not here to work until we drop. Honor self-care, honor nurturance right now, where and when you can. And if that means putting new systems in place to support you, to help you, then do so. You might be called to do that right now. You might also be called to address any insecurities that you might have. Cancer can have connections with where we feel most vulnerable. If you think about a little crab, when it feels vulnerable, what does it do? And Cancer is ruled by the sign of crab. The crab, it sort of shrinks back into its shell. So you might need to address, any insecurities you have by having some time out in your home, in your bedroom, where you can just ponder and reflect, where am I feeling insecure? Where am I feeling out of balance? Where am I feeling like I can't be truly myself? Address those things right now and you'll be really channeling the beauty of this particular energy. We might also find that some sort of new cycle now begins for our children as well, because Cancer, while it doesn't rule children in the way that the planet Jupiter rules children, as I said, it's connected to families. So we might find that this is a brand new start in some way for our children. In the Northern Hemisphere, children might be going on summer holidays. And so that's obviously a brand new little piece for them to enjoy, some summer play, summer fun. But generally in the personal lives of your children, there might be a new start. Maybe you've been going through a divorce or something, and something occurs, some solidification happens with the eclipse, where you've got a system in place of actually being able to share care of your children now, instead of it all being with the mother or with the father or whatever the circumstances might look like. Now, because of this eclipse in Cancer, you might find for your children, they're now actually able to spend time with both parents equally. And that begins a brand new cycle in your children's lives. So that's just an example of how that might work, depending on where it's all falling in your chart. Also, a new moon in Cancer encourages us to review our goals. The opposite sign to Cancer is Capricorn. And Capricorn is our what we want to achieve in the world, the legacy we want to leave behind, what we want to be known for and remembered for. And so when we've got something opposite, it's called, and something activating in the sign opposite, it's calling us to give attention to, well, how we're going to get there, how we're going to make it happen. For example, if you had something opposite, the 6th house, is opposite the 12th house of our karma, and so the 6th house therefore tells us how to relieve our karma, how to absolve our karma, how to let it go. So that's how we're working here. Here is what we want to achieve in life and what we want to be known for, and Cancer, therefore, a new moon in Cancer, can tell us how our goals can get us there, how our dreams can get us to the success we want in life. So it's a time under a new moon in Cancer for reviewing our goals, reviewing our dreams, assessing our path towards getting there. One thing to watch for with a new moon in Cancer is that it is an emotionally charged time. But if you're feeling emotionally vulnerable, emotionally tense at this time, and that can certainly be the case, especially with a square coming from Mars, even though it's a loose one. If you're feeling emotionally vulnerable, I'd encourage you to do Cancer remedy, which is to spend some time near water or drink lots of water or lots of herbal teas or something like that. Cancer is also connected with the land, so you might like to spend some time in the garden, maybe go out, if you haven't got a garden of your own, maybe go out strawberry picking or apricot picking or something like that, and connect with the land or nature in some way. Those sorts of activities can help you rebalance your emotions by being in nature, by being, hands in the earth, hands in the ground, by going for a swim, drinking lots of water, taking a bath, having a nice hot shower. Those kinds of things can be very healing for vulnerable, tense emotions at this time. So just in conclusion, thank you for joining me as we've gone through the astral events of this week. And again, I'm sorry that there has been no personal breakdown. I know a lot of people love that. I do want to just conclude by saying that it is our level of consciousness as individuals, but also as a collective, that determine how these events will play out. We have free will. We have free will. We can either go for the highest manifestation of these energies, or we manifest at the lowest level. Right now we're seeing a pretty mixed bag unfolding all over the earth, different levels of consciousness presenting. But one thing I've been particularly encouraged by is the high level of consciousness, the awakening that seems to be happening amongst my friends, amongst my relatives, amongst my community. I'm astounded and delighted. More than anything, 2020 is waking people up to the truth, revealing the truth, and for that I am grateful. So these events, the results of these eclipses this eclipse in the astral sky, and Mercury going retrograde and Venus going retrograde, and all the things that are happening in the astral sky right now, the result is that people are waking up. And you could not get a better result from these astral energies. So I want to encourage everybody, it's really important to continue to seek love, honesty, fairness, truth for others and for ourselves right now. Seek kindness. Pray for the expansion of humanity's consciousness so that when these eclipses occur, we rise into the potential of our destiny rather than go down the rabbit hole into some sort of demise. We saw that happen back in the 30s and 40s in the world. And of course we want to avoid that sort of thing again. If you recall, a few months back, I did a video where I talked about how the current big outer planet placements are mirroring, with the exception of Sutton, are mirroring the situation that was occurring in the world in the 1936 from recollection. And how that played out, how a choice was made by humanity that then took us all bit by bit down the rabbit hole. We have a chance now to make a choice for the greater, higher level consciousness of humanity. And I'd encourage you to research that. without getting too political, because I don't like to get too political. As I said earlier, I'm an astrologer, not a politician. But I'd encourage people maybe to revisit the A word and what it means, especially as we are dealing with similar mirroring energies, as I spoke about in that video a couple of months back. We are dealing with similar mirroring energies on planet Earth right now, and we have this chance, this opportunity to rise into higher consciousness, which is different to what we did last time we had this opportunity playing out on planet Earth. If you would like more information, I can recommend a couple of good documentaries online, or there's a brilliant book by Noam Chomsky called The A Word. It's not called The A Word, it's The A Word. I do encourage you to check that out, because now is our chance as humanity to rise into a greater outcome than we've had in the past. And that's my prayer. So let's close with a prayer before we go out into our day, evening, week, whatever we're embarking on as we watch this. Energy of love present in the universe. We know you love us all equally, and the energies of the planets play out in our lives as with no differentiation of our particular status or gender or sexual inclination or race or culture. The energies of the planets are there for us all, and we have the opportunity, we know, to change things through our level of consciousness, through our vibration. Please be with us, energy of love. Guardians of Earth, the angels who watch over us, be with us and help us to see ways to find solutions that lift our consciousness as a collective of humanity on this earth, so that we can take the earth into a better state rather than watching her go down the gurgler. Help us to make wise choices. Help us to see the solutions in difficult situations. Help us to see the choice of love that is available to us in all circumstances. Thank you for the astral weather this week. Thank you for the eclipse that is occurring at solstice that is so powerful for each of us. May this be a turning point in humanity that we will remember with fondness for all time. And so it is. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I want to wish you all the love in the world, and I'll have hopefully another video for you next week.